Hey. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly is recording here, but I'm assuming it's the whole screen. So here, I'm going to go ahead and we'll take a look at this essay here, just in case this does work. But I need to open this up bigger so you can see it better. So we'll do this. Okay, so today what I want to look at is mainly the conclusion. So got my MLA heading, your name, my name, the course and period, and the date. Again, title, that's something I like to do last because it's a lot easier to think of something at the end. I have an introduction here. Mine is the one where I think it was number 4 on our handout, where it's the author's thoughts. There's kind of thinking, and then it leads up to something interesting. I'm telling a story now about when I first went to basic training and how they figured out I was a bit introverted. And because of that, a couple of things happened. One is they had me go out and yell at trees in order to get my voice nice and loud, which had the opposite effect, of course. I completely lost my voice. But then they put me in charge for 3 weeks. So I tell that story. I end it when they put somebody else in charge. So I've sort of gotten through that. And now I transition here into more of the essay part. This is where I'm talking about the topic. And my story's longer than most, yeah. But those 3 weeks would make a huge impact on my life. I could always look back and reference that time in order to build the needed courage to stand before a crowd, speak my mind, or just stand up for myself. Now I was in a situation where I didn't have much of a choice. I was forced out of my comfort zone. I was lucky. Many introverts out there are going to have to muster their own courage and place themselves in situations where they too will have to overcome their fears and anxieties. Volunteer for the group that is going to help clean up the campus. Agree to bring sodas and chips to the next meeting. Organize a book club where instead of just reading books, you will discuss them as well. These things can be frightening, but once you raise your hand, sign up on the paper, or call that phone number, things can only ever get better. There is no disadvantage to being able to speak out, to share your thoughts, and to become a part of things that you once only observed. Now that's pretty much me talking about the essay portion. Um, and then my conclusion here is I tie back to my story a little bit. And I say, I still suspect that, and this is all part of my conclusion here. In fact, right here, uh, where I say, volunteer for the group that is going to help clean up campus, agree to bring sodas and chips to the next meeting. That's a call to action. I'm telling my audience to get out, go do these things. That's how they can improve their situation. Um, and then here I concede that, yeah, these things might be scary, but that's okay. That's what you need. You got to get over it. So I have a call to action, and then I have a little tie back, just kind of tying it back to where I started, or to my story at least. I say, I still suspect that Drill Sergeant Eads may have been an introvert at one point. It takes one to know one, they say. But unless you have a keen-eyed drill sergeant looking out for you, you will have to volunteer to stand up for yourself and see where life takes you. So again, I'm just going back to my call to action and putting the onus, the responsibility on the individual to put themselves in those situations, because I think that's important. I think that's what it takes. Okay, so this is an argument. Mine is very heavy on the story side and very light on the argument side. And I didn't bring in outside evidence. I didn't bring in a lot of evidence. Usually, if I'm going to do a narrative argument, because a personal story is good writing, it's interesting, it's usually persuasive, even, but it's not logically persuasive. It lacks logic because I'm just one person. My one example isn't necessarily speaking to truth. So what I normally would do is I would go and get an outside piece of information, some statistics that show something, and I would include those in here, like a study or something, to help bolster up the logic side a little bit. Because I feel like I have the emotion, I have the credibility, because I'm talking about something that happened to myself. I'm just kind of lacking some of the logic. So there you go. Introduction. You need to introduce the topic, hook the reader if you can, talk about the topic, and then you're going to state what you think should happen and why. I didn't necessarily do that in my intro. I just went straight into the story, and it kind of reveals itself throughout the story. Body, normally a body, uh, body buckets, the body of your essay is going to be where you provide evidence. Okay, so that's where you can really discuss the issue and why you think what you think. It's a good idea to have two reasons for what you believe, and then each reason can become a bucket discussion. So you have at least two sections of body uh, talking about different reasons. And then for the conclusion, don't just repeat your thesis, don't rephrase your thesis, expand on your thesis. So imagine that everybody agrees with what you've said up to the point where you get to your conclusion, and then they look at you and they say, okay, I agree with you. So what? Answer that so what question. Why does this topic matter? Why is it important for people to not be introverted and to stay in their comfort zone? How is it going to help people to actually get out in the world and converse with people and put themselves out there socially? Um, Talk about what the world is going to look like if people take your advice. Paint, a picture. Um, so expand on the thesis. You can have a call to action, which is specific things people can do right away. Think of actions, physical actions. What things can people actually do? Pick up the phone and call this number. Go volunteer to do this thing. Um, and then you want to end always on a positive note, even if you're talking about a negative subject. You want to end on a positive note, because nobody wants to end on a negative. So you should be finishing up your essay. Again, use this as a guide if you want. I'm giving you a lot of leeway because you have a story to tell as part of your argument. You can put that story wherever you want. The introduction and the body, probably not the conclusion. But I'll let you decide where your story fits. If you're just going to tell a quick little story, maybe it could go in the introduction. But at some point, you have to transition out of that story and into your argument. And you have to make the points that you want to make. And then your conclusion should really reinforce those points. So get people excited, raise the energy level, let us know what we can expect if we follow your advice. Give us some positive things, paint a good picture of what life is going to be like or how things might change. Excuse me, how things might change. Okay, that's it, and good luck.